I was the skinny kid who got cut from the football team. I was the guy who got laughed at in the locker room and was told I'm never gonna be able to compete or actually do well in sports. 29 years later, I've gained 56 pounds of natural muscle without steroids, and I'm gonna tell you how I did it. I used to be teased at 14. I'm 47 years old now. Stick around to the end of the video so I can teach you how to maintain this for 3 decades like I did. How are you? My name is Coach Dimitri, and welcome to another edition of the Pure Motivation Podcast Show, where we talk about your mindset, your mission, your muscle, your macros, and your marriage. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 different ways that I was able to use to help me not only build myself, build my body, but actually compete at a level and win many, many bodybuilding shows drug-free, and most importantly, maintain it for 29 years. Before I begin, I want to tell you a little story about myself and how this actually started. So to show you the history of my weight, I actually written it down here so I can explain it to you. At 14, I wrestled at 139 pounds. 17 years old, when I competed in most of my high school sports, I brought my weight up to 145. At 18, when I graduated, I weighed 155 pounds. At 19, when I first started getting into bodybuilding and I hired my first coach, he helped me gain my first 10 pounds in that year, and I was 165 pounds. At 21, I began competing naturally in drug-free bodybuilding. My first competition was in Ontario that I won first place, and I competed at 174. So you can see from 14 to 21, I'm slowly building my weight up. At 23 years old, I competed at 184 pounds, and I went from middleweight to light heavyweight. And then at 26, when I competed in one of my last shows, I was 190 pounds. So as you can see, it took time to gain the weight that I wanted to. It took a lot of work to gain it, but there's 5 key principles that I'm gonna teach you right now to explain to you what helped me out so it can help you out with your journey. Whether it's weight loss or weight gain, same scenarios will apply. So number 1, create the identity of who you want to become. It's impossible to get the goal you want if you don't have the vision of who you are. So I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't fail in life just because I grew up without a father who wasn't present. I created my own core identity of who I wanted to become because I didn't want to have my childhood trauma or my childhood background affect who I was becoming as an adult. I created the identity of proving people wrong when one of my first friends thought I couldn't even compete. And I actually did my first bodybuilding show to prove him wrong. I started idolizing people that I felt were idols and role models to me. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Michael Jordan, Sylvester Stallone. People that I felt that I saw that were doing successful things in life that I wanted to emulate. And even if you are in a position in your life right now where you don't feel you have success within you, you can always look to people as role models to help build and mold your core identity. So number 1, create the core identity of who you want to become first and foremost. All right, let's talk about how I trained over the last 29 years to actually put on this natural drug-free weight. First and foremost, I've always focused on free weights. I've rarely used any kind of cable exercises, unless it's a lat pull down vertically, or if it's a lying leg curl, which I think is one of the most important exercises to follow in any leg workout because it's a full stretch of that hamstring. But I've never been big on cable crossovers, tricep extensions, bicep curls, because using cables isn't going to get you the strength you're going to need because you're isolating one muscle group versus having the compound effect from using barbells, kettlebells, and dumbbells. Next, I followed a body type approach. Thank God for my first coach, Mr. Williams, who introduced me to the Arnold Encyclopedia. And it wasn't until I looked at the 3 somatotypes and I totally saw myself, bang, right there. The ectomorphic frame, skinny, long leg, fast metabolism. So using the body type approach very early on at 18 years old helped me out because I had a vision to follow, and I wouldn't follow the bodybuilding magazines. I wouldn't follow the guys in the gym that are on steroids. I followed what I knew would work for my body type. Next, talk about my frequency of training. So to gain muscle and to put on weight, the more you train, the worse it's gonna be for you. So unlike fat loss, where if you train 5-6 days a week, specifically for specific body types, it'll help out. For an ectomorph, it's not gonna work. So I did a 2 days on, 1 day off approach, and I followed that through. I would follow probably, for the first phases, I would do total body workouts for 8 weeks. My program design was 8-week based, and then I would shift after that. So my first coach taught me 4 weeks is great for periodization and shock principle, but because you're so skinny, you're not building no base strength. And if you do a total body workout for 1 month, and you switch right away to another one, you're not building no progression. You can't see how much did you increase in your squat from week 1 to 8. So month 1 and 2, total body. What does that mean? Legs, chest, and back, and a bit of shoulders in there. Why only 3 body parts? Because I want to maximize the amount of muscle I can grow, the amount of stimulation I can provide my body, and the amount of load I can give myself without overtraining or getting injured. So a typical workout would look like 5 sets of squats, 5 sets of bench, 5 sets of deadlift or weighted pull-ups or a bent over row, and then maybe 3 to 4 sets of a standing military press. No arms, no core for the first 2 months. Why? Again, we're trying to build muscle and build that weight. Second phase, push-pull. Now we take that total body approach, we split it up, and we work quadriceps on one day, chest, shoulders, triceps, and calves. Those are all push muscles. Then you go hamstrings, back, biceps, forearms, and traps on the other day. So now if you go day 1, day 2, day 3 is a time off. Day 4, day 5, day 6 is time off. I've always followed the forced repetition approach. What that means is when you're training, you need to get to a position where you have to get forced reps out. So if I'm doing 10 repetitions on my own, the next set I'm gonna add 10 pounds each. So I may get 8 reps. Then the third set, I'm gonna add 10 more pounds. Now I'm gonna get 6 reps. Now on my next set, if I add 5 pounds or 10 pounds more, chances are I should only get 3 reps by myself, but with the help of a spotter at the elbow, or if they're spotting me for my squat, or whichever movement I was doing, I could get 3 by myself and then 4, 5, and 6 with the help of someone else. Forced repetitions are amazing because not only are you able to hold the load longer, but you're able to break the plateau of where your body can naturally hold the weight eccentrically and push the weight concentrically with a spotter. And that was how I trained over the last 29 years, and I've maintained the same structure. What's changed is just the program design, maybe the rep range now that I'm older, because now I can maintain this weight and I can hold on to it. Okay, next let's talk about what I ate, to gain this weight and to build the physique that I have today. Now, it took a long time for me to understand the concept of a caloric surplus. I literally had to force feed myself on a regular basis. And what do I mean by force feed? I mean, when I was growing up and I was in high school, between high school and college years, and from when I competed, I had jaw pains because I kept chewing so much throughout the day. And if you're eating 6 meals of steak and chicken breast and so much fuel, you're constantly chewing that. When I went to the dentist, I was asking him, is something wrong with my teeth? He goes, no, it's probably because of the amount of food you're eating. So 1, force feed yourself to the point where you're in a caloric surplus. Now, what does that mean? I've done a video before and I've showed what a caloric deficit would look like, right? So let's say these 2 glasses right now of water are a base calorie, okay? And let's say my caloric intake back in those days was 3,500 to 4,000 calories per day. Now, don't try this at home, because if you're a mesomorphic individual or an endomorphic person that's got a slower metabolism, you will balloon in weight. But for someone like myself or yourself that wants to gain weight, think of caloric surplus meaning this. On this glass on the right, I'm gonna fuel myself as if I'm someone who's dieting, and I'm gonna keep going, and then I stop right there. So I'm meeting my calorie goal, or I'm almost at the top of the calorie goal line. Now watch the left glass. This is someone in a state where they must be in a surplus. So you gotta keep eating, you gotta keep eating, gotta keep eating, and you gotta keep eating. You gotta keep eating. See that? You gotta keep eating. You gotta overflow your glass with energy. Now, what's gonna happen? You will gain some body fat, but you're also gonna gain muscle. And for the fact that you're constantly training, if you're training more frequently and your carb ratio is organized, you're not gonna gain so much body fat because the muscle mass you will put on can be adequately distributed or changed throughout. Meaning, if you notice that you're eating so much fuel and you're gaining 5 pounds of muscle and 5 pounds of fat, you know you can change the macros. But typically people who want to gain weight need to be in a caloric surplus. Now, the problem with this is people don't take nutrition seriously. And a lot of guys that want to gain weight, they'll be eating a big carb meal for breakfast, a big carb meal for lunch, and then from 12 o'clock till 6:37, they don't eat nothing. You can't go through 6 hours of time without eating, Because if you don't have this scenario happening on a regular basis, your body's not going to be able to gain weight at all. If you're constantly in a state where you're in a deficit of calories, or you're maintaining and you're training as hard as you are, or as hard as I was, you'll actually lose muscle tissue and be in a catabolic state. So if we're talking about food as well, and we're talking about the bulk, what really bugs me when I listen to bro science is when guys say that you can bulk up on garbage food and still get the same results. The cheeseburgers and fries may equate to similar calorie range, but the macros will be so much differently. It'll be so much higher in fat, so much lower in protein, and you're eating garbage quality food. So my macro range has always been consistent, and I've been on a 30% protein, about 50% of carbohydrates, and then another 20% of fat. Now this ratio slightly changes depending on the year and where I am and what I want to do with my physique. If I want to lean up, if I'm going to be going away, doing a photo shoot, I'll just drop the carbs down. But if you're looking at putting on natural weight, drug-free, you need to make sure that if you're looking at a plate, half of your plate should be carbohydrates, the other half should be protein, and then a small amount should be fat at the bottom. Whereas typically, healthier meals that you may see on TV, on Instagram, or anywhere are always going to talk about a high consumption of vegetables and protein and fat. That's great if you're looking to get lean, but if you want to gain weight, you need an abundance of carbohydrates. During my high school years and in college, I constantly got harassed by friends because I used to carry my food everywhere I went. When I went to college, at Humber College, I actually had a professor who spoke to the board or the dean or the principal, and he actually wanted to get me kicked out of class because at that period of time when I was in college, I competed for the last 9 years, and he didn't want me eating in class. So I literally went back to the idea of what is my why? I want to compete, I want to win, and who is the core identity? I understood that I'm a person that feels confident and proud of what I'm doing. So when I got sent to the principal or dean's office and he said, hey, this teacher does not want you in class because of the fact that he thinks you're disturbing people, I basically said, hey, am I paying for my tuition dues? Yes. Am I getting good grades? Yes. I'm going to sit at the back of the class. I'm not going to bother people, and I will continue to eat because I'm a natural bodybuilder and I'm competing. And if not, I want a full refund of my money and I'll go to another college. And the end of the story was my teacher got told. I sat at the end of the class, I did my thing, and all throughout college, I was able to maintain that lifestyle. Okay, point number 4, I want to talk about how I overcame challenges. Now, if you don't predict that you're going to get stuck, if you don't start foreseeing that there will be challenges and there will be areas and times in your life where you will get stuck, you're going to fail. It's an up and down battle. So the first thing I realized and I learned was the 3 A's to self-accomplishment. Number 1 is you have to accept the fact that A, are you stuck and do you need help? And I understood that. I told myself, yes, I'm stuck. Number 2 of A is acknowledgement. I had to acknowledge, A, can I do this by myself? Or B, do I need help? And a lot of people get stuck at this point. They accept the fact that, yes, I have a problem. I want to lose weight or gain weight. But then when it comes to B, acknowledging it, they don't want to get help. And the third A is advancement or action taking. What's the next step? What are you going to do to actually move forward? So what did I do? I was working as a waiter at Mr. Greek's in the Keg, and I saved up all my tips, and I went and found my first coach at Monster Gym. This is when I was 19 years old, and I paid him $2,000. This was way back when. I paid $2,000 for, I believe it was 4 months of training with him, once a week. And that was the best investment that I did because I understood that if I want to get to a new point and I want to get to a new goal and I don't have this specialty or the knowledge, I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to time collapse and get the information I need help with. He gave me like an Excel spreadsheet or a Microsoft Word doc, and he said, with these little squares everywhere, log what you're eating. So I logged my nutrition. I logged my workout. I logged my sleep. I logged my weight. I even logged every time I wanted to cheat or binge. And why do we do this? Because back in those days, we didn't have computers to keep summarizing things for us. We had to look at trends to track. Where do you start finding out that you're binging? Where do you feel you're weakest at? Which days of the week do you see you're not logging your food or you're not eating as much? Which days of the week are you not strong as much? So logging was very important for what I did. So then I experimented and I wasn't afraid to try new things. You see, when you're looking to change your physique, when you're looking to change your lifestyle, if you're looking to change something in your life, you need to be confident enough to try something new and to micro-fail. So don't be afraid to experiment with something, but if you can log and track it, you can see if it's actually working. So I've learned as I progressed where I fit in best with my body and my size. Number 5, I'm gonna teach you how I was able to maintain this for almost 3 decades. Now, this April, I'm turning 47 years old, and I'm still at 195, and what's amazing, and I'm very proud of, is I'm keeping one of the lowest body fat percentages at this age in my prime at 47, which is between 10 to 11% body fat, compared to as when I was much, much younger. So if you want to think of your life, let's think of putting your life in categories, okay? So let's say this is from 10 to 19, and this is in my 20s, this is in my 30s, this is in my 40s, this is in my 50s, and again, we can continue going on to 60 plus. But if you think about it, from this age here, when I was in my 14-year-old range, I was 139 pounds. If you look at now, within my late 40s, I'm 195 pounds. When I was competing between 21 and 29, my percentage here was at my lowest. So when I was on stage, I was probably around 5%, and then off season, I would be at maybe 15%. So there wasn't really a big gap there. As a bodybuilder, especially as an ectomorphic person, you don't have the luxury of being able to gain 40 pounds in the off season and then losing it, because to gain 10 pounds is tough enough, okay? But you gotta think of the longevity of your life here. Then in my 30s, when I completed and I opened my business, I'm gonna put biz, because my business was my biggest priority, okay? My business and my family, we had kids, okay? So here is where my percentage kind of went up to the 17 to 18%. Why? Because obviously my focus wasn't on me. My focus was on family and my business, my staff and my members. But what I'm getting at is, if you're looking to keep this over long term, and now I'm at between 10 and 11%, you have to understand that there's gotta be things in these generations of decades that are gonna help keep you motivated and help keep you sustained. And here's what they were. Number 1, my why. My why has always been the strongest belief system. My why has always been the strongest anchor. And my why has been the armor and the shield that I wear right now. And my why is simple. Everything I do is to be a role model for my kids. Why? Because my father wasn't around for me, and I want to show my kids that that'll never happen to them, and I'm going to be their role model. But not only for my kids, but also for my community, for my coaches, for the members that know me, for anybody that knows me since I was in high school that knows me today. I'm still the same person. The only difference, a little bit more gray hairs and a few more wrinkles. Next, I made my workouts part of my schedule, and I continuously do that today. I literally will have a time audit sheet. The time audit sheet that I'm going to throw up in a few seconds here is going to have from Sunday to Saturday, from 5 a.m. to 11:30 p.m. And you literally plot out every hour of the day what you're doing. And lastly, I raise my thermostat. Now, what does that mean by that? So let's say this is 10%, this is 50%, 100%. When it's a hot day, what happens? You start sweating. What happens when you're cold? You start shivering. What happens when shit hits the fan in your life and things get really tough? You either have stress at work, you're fighting with your spouse. What happens to your thermostat? That little thermostat in your brain that's set to a certain level that protects you. So setting your thermostat as high as you can go, let's say this is 98% compared to another guy, my age, but he sets his here, 63%. So what does that mean? Well, that means every time life gets challenging for him and he comes around this point, the breakers come on, the lights come on, the ability for his brain to surpass that stops because his body panics and his threshold is set too low. Well, what if that happens to me? My threshold is really, really high. I will keep taking challenges. I will keep taking problems. I will burn through the challenging times in my life because I know deep down inside my why is important for me. How do you raise that? By increasing your competence, your confidence, and your character. the 3 C's. Give yourself a very regimented, ritual, scripted lifestyle so you can understand that if you can meet those mini goals you set, it builds your competency level. If you say, I'm gonna wake up every morning a half an hour earlier and read and plan my day, and you do so, now you have competency that you can do that. Well, that's gonna build your confidence level. If your confidence level is good, you can raise the bar level higher. If you raise the bar higher, your character becomes new. And now you're not afraid, like this guy that when the going gets tough at 63%, he bails and pulls out. All the points that I've talked about for me today can easily work for you. The only difference is you change some variables. Whether it's strength training with certain repetitions, fine, you can change that. Whether it's nutrition, and instead of going for caloric surplus, you're in a deficit. But when it comes down to making change last forever, you gotta understand one thing, that life is gonna be challenging, especially if you're a parent. And as you get older, the amount of energy and time and space that you can provide for you gets crushed up and gets smaller and smaller. Why? Because now you're a parent, and now you have to give that much more time back for your family and your community and your job. So what's left for you? A small amount. But if you tell yourself that I'm not gonna live by the ability of what gets thrown at me in life, and I'm gonna pre-plan my life so I can know that I have non-negotiables, you'll be able to maintain fitness for a lifestyle. Because remember, the most important thing about everyone is to be fit and healthy. A rich person can have 1,000 wishes and they can do whatever they want, but someone that's sick only has one, and that's health. My name is Coach Dimitri. I hope you enjoyed this video on the 5 things that helped me gain 56 pounds naturally without drugs at 47. If I can help you out, I'm happy. And today you made my day. What I'd like to ask is if you can like this video, if you can comment and let me know some ways that you feel I can provide support and value to you. And then most importantly, if you can share this video with any friends and family, that'd be great. If you're stuck and you need help with fitness and you're a man over 40, I have an amazing online coaching program, and I have over 25 men that I'm coaching that I can assist all around the world. Or if you live in the city of Vaughan, you want to come to our fitness studio, Pure Motivation Fitness, we can't wait to see you. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.